Okay,
Brad.
just checking on you. We'll do an introduction here to everybody shortly.
You need a tour of the city, Brad. I know somebody that'll take you around and show you where everything is.
Thanks, Bubba.
How you doing, Brad?
Oh, Brad McKenzie.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now live on YouTube and in the cloud.
Okay.
Hi.
Thank you.
That means act right, boys.
How come Mike's picture never shows up?
It never comes up. I don't know why. I joined both. It doesn't come up, man. He'd rather have Marlon anyway.
I think it has something to do with your looks. I'm not sure.
It probably does, Mr. Heston, because you're a prettier man than me.
Okay, anybody waiting yet? I'm sorry I was late, guys. Looks like we can go on. Let's go on and get started, I reckon.
Hold on, Mr. Ken.
You ready?
No, not yet.
Yes, sir. I'm
Ken
anxious.
looks strange. Ken looks strange up there with Andy's name on it.
Oh, Keith.
I need to do a roll call real quick, Mr. Hessen.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Let's see who's here. Mr. Head,
Here.
Mr. White, Mr. White,
Here.
Mr. Frank, Mr. Frank on,
I see him.
he's muted.
He's muted.
Mr. Bennett,
Here.
Mr. Hessen is here. Mr. Pike,
Here.
Mr. Bowler,
Present.
Mr. Perry,
Here.
and Mr. Golden.
I'm here.
All right,
Yes, I know.
Mr. Ken, it's all yours, brother.
I appreciate it, my friend. All right, call the order of the Parks Board meeting for Monday, January 25, 2011. Can't believe it's 2011. Let's see, who wants to, Mr. Bennett, will you do the pledge of the flag, please, sir?
I will be more than happy to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball.
I'm going to get that in one day.
I can't wait to hear Mr. Bennett say that. I'll tell you.
Bubba, you'll never beat Jeremiah on it.
Mr. Bruce, do we have any citizens' comments, sir?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of.
And I thank you very much. I will listen to approval of the minutes for December the 14th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Who motioned it?
Mr. Head.
Mr. Head, and who was second?
Mr. Bowler.
Okay, Mr. Gold.
That's good.
All in favor, say aye.
I got to do the roll call.
Ain't going. Okay.
Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank, Mr. Frank, calling Mr. Frank.
Yes.
There he is.
There he is.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yeah.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
All passed.
I'm gonna go on record to say I don't like this roll call thing. All right, under old business park project updates, Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. I'll try to be brief because we got a long agenda, but want to let you know we will soon be installing more security cameras at Drakes Creek Park and at Volunteer Park. We have a little bit of funds left in that project for this year, so that's going to help us with some safety there. We will be opening bids for the inline hockey project on February 4th. We've had a lot of interest. It's going to be a good project. We will be working on the park master plan, selecting who's going to do that on January 28th. And we have in the budget and approved to resurface the front 4 tennis courts as soon as the weather allows this spring.
Very nice.
If
Question?
anybody has any questions about anything else, I'm glad to answer.
Silent, so I think that's good. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Update on CPR, Mr. Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, we just wanted to give an update as far as our plans for this coming spring. We're kind of keeping things the same as we did with the fall, as far as putting that on hold as far as a requirement with our concerns of handling of the dummies and doing CPR inside of our meeting rooms. We have spoken with all the leagues, and if any league that feels comfortable doing so, by all means, we're encouraging to do that if they want, just outside of the parks meeting rooms, and to do their best on placing coaches with current CPR trainings on each team. So just kind of want to give you guys an update where we stand with that in the current situation with COVID.
Very nice. Thank you, sir. Questions? All right. Under new business, offense, defense, football tournament, I have to admit, with my old eyes, it looked like I said mighty fine, but I think it's Marty fine. So
I've been called worse.
you got the floor, Mr. Fine.
Well, thank you very much, sir. We are. I'm the vice president of a company. I just retired after 40 years of coaching college football, and I see the guy in the Kansas sweatshirt. And just so you know, when I was at Iowa State, we beat you pretty good. I had to get a win in somewhere. We run youth football events around the country. We're in Dallas right now, running one at the Cowboy Stadium. And we're running one, and we expect about 100 youth kids in Nashville at the Titans Stadium in the middle of March. And we typically practice for a Thursday and a Friday, and then play games in the stadium on a Saturday and a Sunday. And for the little kids, they'll play in the stadium on a Saturday, and then on Sunday they get a second chance to play a game against a different opponent. And we usually use local high schools. Unfortunately, in your area, all the high schools are not available for use during the spring seasons. So we have found some, just like we have here, some county facilities, in this case, your parks, where there's a 90-yard football field that we would like to rent for a day on a Sunday on March 14th. We understand the typical payment is $75 plus a $500 donation. We would like to up that and also donate a bunch of product. One of our great sponsors is Gatorade. So we'd like to donate to your youth sports some Gatorade coolers, some product, a case of cups or two, just things to help your local community. We have already submitted our COVID protocol. And what we do is we would have one entrance in, and everybody would come in and get temperature tested first. They would get their hands sanitized second. They would have the symptom check third, and they would have everybody would have to have a mask on as well. And then we would distance them in your stands. I have not seen the field yet. We haven't gotten the exact name of it. We've been going back and forth, but we would distance our folks as well, and we would take care of all that. What we are looking for is a field where we can have some stands, a scoreboard, a PA announcer, some lines on the field, and hopefully we could borrow a down and distance, a set of chains, so the kids feel like it's a game. I think that's the nickel version as fast as I can go. Is there anything I can answer specifically to the request that might help you folks? We hire local high school coaches to coach the little kids. We have a bunch of small college coaches. The NCAA right now doesn't have live recruiting for Division I and II. So we'll hire as many local small college kids as we can, or coaches as we can, to coach the little kids and make sure we're teaching them how to play safely and how to develop sportsmanship. This is a reward for our customers, not an, oh my God, you have to win at all costs. And so we try to make it as fun and clean an environment as we can.
So we got any questions here? Anybody have any questions?
Either I'm really good or you're really bored.
Miss Gilly, do we have space in all of this like we're talking about? This is
Mr. Long has been working with this group. I'm gonna let him take it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we can accommodate this. This is the Sunday during the last Sunday of spring break. Our flag football league will start up the following weekend. And so we do have space on this field, and I've been in touch with Civitan, made them aware of the donations that they're offering to the football program, and Civitan is also going to help coordinate some of the things that they'll need, such as the scoreboard and the PA mounting stand and all that. So
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Any
just
other
one
questions?
One question for Mr. Long. Are we gonna use the concessions too?
Yeah, that wasn't a request. If Civitan and Jimmy would like to open up the concessions, I'd be all open to that. We may have, I think we also have a softball tournament in the park that same weekend, so the concession stand may already be open.
Okay.
It'll be open.
Yeah.
And just so we don't tear up your space, we're going to put our littlest kids out there. So you're going to get 8 to 10-year-olds.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Are these teams they're local kids, or are these intact teams traveling to the area?
Not a team tournament, but not local kids. It's kids from all over the country.
Oh, okay.
And then we run 40 camps around the country during the summers. And then we run 4 big events during the winter. We had one in Myrtle Beach at Christmas. We have one at Dallas Cowboy Stadium now. And then the last one will be at the Titan Stadium. And so all kids that have participated who did well and behaved well and tried hard, they'll all get invited. And we'll end up with, like I said, 600-700 kids for the event.
Thank you.
All right.
As I was walking in, we had a quarterback from Alaska and a running back from Hawaii, both walking in together.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask Mr. Fine a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fine, would you all be willing if we send you the information to get out the links to our hotels up here that are real close to Nashville?
We've already partnered with the hotel in Nashville, sir.
Okay, never mind then.
We have rented out the DoubleTree downtown completely. We booked every room.
Okay.
So, but what we do want to do is for the group that's coming out to you on the Sunday, whatever your local, what we typically do is go through the Chamber of Commerce or the CVB and see who participants are, where we're going, and then we send those links for lunches and meals and things to those to our customers.
That's definitely something Andrea in our office could get to you.
That'd be terrific. And we're February 1 is the day we'll start pushing this real hard. We're here all this week through Saturday here at Cowboy Stadium. We'll drive back Sunday, and then that next Monday we'll start pushing this. So whatever links we have, we'll send out all the invitations first to our people, and then as I sign up, we'll send the individual links for all the things that you want us to support in your area.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. No other questions. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Pike was first. Who was second?
Mr. Head.
Mr. Head was second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll
Mr.
call.
Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
Sounds like it's approved.
Mighty fine.
Thank you very much, men. I'll
Thank you,
stay in
sir.
touch with Mr. Long, and anything you need from us, we will be more than accommodating.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening, man.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the Blue Otter Bass Tournament and Concert, Jason Williamson.
I'm here.
Good. Well, you're on the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give a little background before we let
Sure.
Jason explain some things about this, if that's okay.
Sir, go ahead.
Jason Williamson is a professional fisherman out of South Carolina. He and a group called Blue Otter Polarized Sunglasses approached Barry Young with the Sumner County Tourism Board last week about us hosting a fishing tournament and concert at Sanders Ferry. There's a few things on the application that we had to put TBA or to be determined when he turned it in. There's not been decided yet kind of on the admission fee as far as cost per boat and cost per ticket. We can't really decide that until they come up here for a site visit and we determine what's going to be best, how to charge people. As far as the charity, that was TBA on the application. One of those charities is going to be Musicians on Call, which I kind of detailed to you all in an email today, helping local, that connects music artists and helps not only music artists, but also local hospitals as well. Jason can kind of fill you in on the fishing part. And then if there's any questions about the concert end, I can handle those probably.
Okay.
So Jason, if you want to go ahead and kind of fill in the gaps that I left there.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. We want to put on a open team bass tournament that Sunday. I think that's the 30th, if I'm correct, at Sanders Ferry. It'll be an open team, open to the public, guaranteeing 10,000 to win, which we're thinking attract 100 to 200 boats, and then followed up that afternoon with a concert. The event will be put on by Blue Otter Polarized, which has several artist names: Riley Green, Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, all those guys. That will be that Sunday and Sunday night. And then Monday, we're going to have a pro-am that we're going to try to keep quiet, that will be just like 25 professional anglers fishing with 25 country music artists from the area in a pro-am to help raise money for the charity. Now, we've looked at today doing musicians on call as well as a Cast for Kids charity as well on the fishing side of things. So the concert charity will be musicians on call, and then the fishing charity on the outdoors side will be, a conservation charity and probably like a Cast for Kids.
Okay, any more questions?
I would add to that, Mr. Chairman, we'll come back to the Parks Board after we've done the site visit and lay out the setup, because they are going to be planning on selling beer. We will come back to you all after the beer board has got the permit and just get your all's blessing on the plan for that night, like we have with other events, as far as where things will be set up and how we'll run security.
All right, so we're doing a motion to approve the event itself, correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, and then they'll come back. All right, any more questions? I'll accept a motion to approve this event.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr.
A
White
second.
and Mr. Bennett, Mr. White was first, Mr. Bennett was second, and I'll slow down now. Voice vote. Any more questions, by the way? All right, voice vote.
Mr. Golden,
Yes. Sorry, went out of order.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Head.
Yes.
Very nice. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Just I like we always do everything, just kind of stay in touch with everybody.
We'll do it. Thanks for having me, guys. Andy, thank you. I'll be in touch. Y'all have a
Yes,
good
sir.
night.
All right,
Thanks,
buddy.
Jason.
Thank you, man.
Yep. Thanks.
All right, next on the agenda, PG World Series, Mr. Beck. Mr. Beck.
I don't see him on, Mr. Chairman.
I do not either.
You'll have to come back in. You'll have to come back in February.
We're going to bypass that one for the time being. Down to the bottom, we'll figure out if he's here again. Okay, on the middle school softball clinic, Mr. West.
Miss West.
I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Miss West. I'm not very popular with the ladies, so I apologize there, Miss West.
So I am filling in for Miss West. My name is Julianne Sistos. My maiden name is Towers. I was in the Sumner County school system. I'm a independent trainer for softball for hitting and pitching. 3 other of some people that I have grown up with that is also privately giving hitting and pitching lessons and fielding lessons. The 4 of us are wanting to get together to be able to put on a middle school tournament, or not tournament, but a middle school camp. This is kind of been started through Courtney West, who is the TW Hunter coach. Just to kind of give you my background, I graduated from White House High School, played school at University of Connecticut. Then I coached at Delta State University, Millsaps College, and then the last school I was at is Campbell University, which is a small Division I out of North Carolina. Two other of the girls, Kelsey Nunley and Allison Owen, both played Division I. One graduated from Mississippi State, the other one from Kentucky, and they played in the pros. And then Kelsey Cartwright, who also played at SEC, Auburn, and then finished up at Lipscomb, is also joining in to potentially put on this camp. All four of us have coached Division I softball at some point in time, but now we're all independently giving lessons and training kids up. We are wanting to help the middle schools in Sumner County and get them educated on the sport of softball and in different positionary play. And then at the end, do a small scrimmage. And to do that, we were hoping to request maybe 2 softball fields at Drakes Creek Park or one of your parks in Hendersonville for the date of February 6th. There will be 2 sessions of kids, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. There should be about 48 kids each session. And so we are requesting 2 softball fields from the parks, if that's possible on the 6th, if you guys have availability.
Okay. I'll ask Mr. Gilly if you has the department talked to them about this project.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bruce has been working with them. If you'd like to hear from him.
Yes, I would like to hear him speak.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Yes, sir. I've talked to Courtney quite a bit about this. We've got fields 4 and 5 blocked off for them for that whole day. Just hope it doesn't snow.
Okay, no problem then, huh? Okay.
Correct. It's the field wise, that shouldn't be a problem. And actually, I think it's a good idea. The middle school league is going to start the 16th, about a week and a half later. So I think this will be some good training for the campers to get started for their regular season.
Okay. All right. Questions?
Have the insurance issues been covered?
I had spoke to David Winter with Civitan, and he agreed to partner with us. We're still working out some of the details, but I did speak with him today.
Okay. Questions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Mr. Heston, I have one question for Mr. Bruce.
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Clark.
Since this is for profit, are we waiving anything? You know, are we, do we need to word that? Are we going to waive any kind of donation or anything? And do we need to word that in our motion?
Are you asking me?
No, he's asking
Bruce.
me or
Okay.
Mr. Bruce.
Have you talked to David about that at all, David Winters?
Yes, sir. So he said he had a lot to do with the Fast Pitch League at Drakes Creek. And again, we're still in the works of getting all the details, panned out. However, we're discussing working with the fast pitch players that are enrolled in your season and trying to get them coached up as well. Potentially, again, we had this discussion today, and we got to follow up again tomorrow.
I think, Mr. Pike, what you're asking, and I think what may be appropriate, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, is maybe for the motion to approve, include that they work with the staff and the Civitan Club to make sure that we have proper insurance and some kind of donation back to the Civitan Club.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I just want to
the fast pitch league, actually, probably is what you're looking for.
I'm good with whatever we do. I just thought it might need to be put in the motion itself too. So.
I would agree with that.
Thank you. Mike, would you like to make that motion, sir?
I'll make a motion that we approve this based on these fine ladies getting back together with David Winters, working out all the particulars on the insurance, and some type of donation, whatever that be, to the Civitan or wherever that they deem that donation to go.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Perry, second. Any more discussion? Voice vote?
Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank, Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
Very
All
nice.
approved.
All right. I hate to sound like a broken record, but you need to stay as closely as possible to make us happy. If you don't mind, I appreciate it.
Thank you all. I really do appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Bye.
Right. Online tennis court reservation cost increase, Mr. Jones. Don't see Mr. Jones. Okay, we're gonna sit on that one for a minute.
I don't see him in.
No, sir. We'll sit on that one for a minute. Okay, next is, well, and that's Mr. Jones too. So let's go to Sumner Rugby Tournament. Mr. Silkwood.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
man. Yes.
Hey, so this is kind of a tournament that we're having. It's kind of in conjunction with our normal league, but what we're finding with COVID is that the amount of teams right now able to maybe play in certain areas is having some difficulties. Memphis for sure is definitely having difficulties and tighter restrictions on allowing kids to play. So we are going to host a tournament to allow some of our local teams to play some out-of-state teams. And so we'll be bringing in hopefully some teams that we've talked to out of Chicago, a team from Louisville, and potentially a team coming up from maybe the Carolinas, North Carolina, to play in a 2-day tournament. So since it's kind of an out-of-state tournament, we're just asking for permission to use the rugby complex for 2 days, March 27th and 28th. For those 2 days.
Okay.
Mr. Silkwood, could I ask a question?
Yeah.
So just to be clear, you're asking permission to use the field that basically you built.
Yes.
That's part of the protocol.
It is, but I just wanted everybody to realize that what a humble person to pour the last couple of years into building this. So without discussion, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. First, Mr. Head second. Mr. Frank, I was wondering why you was grinning so big there. All right.
I just had a real, very basic, simple question though, real fast, Brian. Are these, is it youth teams, adult teams, both?
No, this is strictly high school, middle school, strictly high school, middle school.
Cool, thanks.
So, yeah.
All right. Any more questions?
I just want to second what Mr. Frank said, and it's very refreshing for somebody to do that. I wish more people would be a little considerate of our fields. I really appreciate you doing that, Mr. Silkwood.
Thank you. It's a good complex. We're still working. I got more to go. I still got more to build.
Awesome. Has anybody ever been mortally wounded in one of your games?
Mortally, no, but probably a knee injury here or there is probably the most common.
I'd have a whole body injury. Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any more questions? All right, voice vote.
Mr. Head?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pike?
Yes.
Mr. Hessen?
Yes.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Sorry, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Silkwood. Appreciate it.
If any of those people, Mr. Chairman, log back on during the meeting, I'll let you know. We go back to those items.
Yes, sir. Good enough. All right. So I don't have Mr. Beck or Mr. Jones. Is that correct?
That's as of right now, no, sir.
Good enough. I've got it marked. Good enough. All right. All right. Under financial report, Sumner County Rugby. You're back up there, I think.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Do we have any questions about that? I will have to admit that I will have to let you guys go over that because I haven't had a chance to read over it. But are there any more questions?
I've never done one. This will be the first time we've had to been asked. So I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it or just answer questions. I don't
If
know
you
what
have
the
any
schedule-
kind of highlights you want to hit on as far as your financials go, that anything stands out, you can. Otherwise, you don't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
I'll just tell the group that y'all put a lot of time and effort and money into this, and we, like you said, we got a lot more to go. Kind of update the board on the rugby complex. We're working pretty hard to try to get permanent restroom and concession facility put in out there, and hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later. And my hope is to help them along with the lacrosse get lights in next year's budget. That's our two fields that need lights the most at this point. So hopefully the ones that vote on that above us will see that need also.
Any more questions? Well, sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks
Mr.
again.
Good State Senior Softball League. Mr. Depew, you've been up there all night and haven't said a word.
I know, I've just been so quiet. Well, I want to thank all of you. I want to give you a little heads up on a couple of changes, or at least one change we'll be making. I've asked Brad McKenzie to step in, sit in with us tonight. I know a bunch of you know Brad, but we made Brad I nominated him for president-elect about 2, maybe 3 years ago, Brad. I'm not sure how long it was now.
Yes, sir.
But I think it's time that next year that Brad take over the league. I'm 75, been doing this since I was around 50, so it's been a few years. And Brad has done a real good job in our 45 division as the commissioner down there and as a coach, and also helping me just run the league in general. He'll kind of work a little closer with me this year so that he's got everything that he knows has to be done. And of course, I'll stay involved with him. I won't bail out. I keep telling the doctors, they keep replacing knees and shoulders. I keep playing ball. So you have something to look forward to, Brad. You could keep playing a long time. If you guys have any questions for us on the financials, I've got one thing that I want to point out to you. We had a loss this year of about $1,100, almost $1,200, but it was mainly due to the netting that we had installed along with the city. The Parks Department joined us and helped us get a netting there to put on Veterans Field #1. And that was to protect the cars and the kids and the people for softballs being hit over Veterans 1. And that netting runs from the center field fence over to right field foul line. So that was done a little after the league got going or right before. So it's worked out pretty good for us, but that was about a $5,034 expenditure shared with us in the Parks Department. And we want to thank you for doing that with us and protecting those kids and cars. Other than that, it's our basic report. If you have any questions on it, Brad or I'll be glad to answer it.
Okay. Any questions? Roy, I think I've known you about as long as you've been coaching, and I don't know that anybody in this town's been more dedicated than you have to the seniors, and I, for one, want to tell you I sure do appreciate what you've done and what you're doing. So I want to thank you.
I appreciate that. Well, I will tell you this. I feel strong about Brad taking over. He understands the value of the league, that if we want to keep playing ball, we got guys 80 years old still playing in that 65 division. For those of you that don't know, we have 3 divisions, 45 to 55, or 56 to 64, and 65 plus. There's 4 teams in each division. So there's 12 teams of guys with almost 15 players on a team. So we've been doing this a long time, and Brad will keep it going, and I'll stay involved with him. he knows that. And I'll probably drop down and be a commissioner on the 65 and keep playing as long as the good Lord lets me.
Good. Brad, have you got anything you want to add to that, sir?
No, sir. I echo what you said. Roy's done an amazing job with this, and I'm honored that he selected me to not take his place, but try to take his place. Big shoes to fill, and I'm glad he's going to be by my side. So we're going to just keep this league going. We appreciate the support of the city and the staff that have done so much for us over the years.
Okay. Thank
Sure
you.
do. We thank all of you.
All right. If there are no more questions, thank you, Mr. Perry. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate you coming. All right. Next, Hendersonville. I'm sorry.
Ken, could I just say something to Roy and Brad for just a second?
Sure.
Roy, thank you for the years you put up there. Softball's huge to me, and you couldn't have turned it over to a better person than Brad McKenzie as well. And if y'all ever need any assistance up there, you know how to get a hold of me. So thank you, guys.
We just need to get you back on the field. That's what we need.
He can't hardly walk to the bathroom. So.
You and Mike, we guys need to get.
No, I'll watch. I'm not playing. So.
Okay.
Thank you,
guys. Thank you. Hendersonville Inline Hockey Association.
Red Emerson. I'm here for Michael Yarger. So if you guys have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. We don't have anything in particular to report.
Very nice.
You know, pretty standard season so far.
Okay.
Brett, in the past, y'all gotten a grant from the Predators.
Yes.
Are those things still out there, or are we looking at those for next year? Or?
We are. Yes, Randy submitted that paperwork this month.
Okay. So that's a possibility. Do you know how much those are? Different amounts.
Different amounts. Yeah, they
Yeah.
range anywhere from, I think, in the hundreds to in the thousands.
I got you.
Hey, I want to ask one question too, please, if I can. What about, do we have any kind of plan put in place? Are y'all working on a plan put in place for maybe sponsorship to help with the new rinks?
We discussed that in our last board meeting. We had one this week. You know, that's a great question. It's probably something that we could certainly step up our game on. Our league isn't very expensive to run, so in the past we haven't had to generate, you know, large dollars like that. But it's certainly something that's on the table and it's being considered, and we're trying to look at different options.
Well, that would be great if you could at least talk about it and stay in touch with Andy on that, because though it's very important to get those new rinks from where they are, where we're moving them, and I want all that to work for everybody involved. So.
Yeah, absolutely. The community is very excited about that, the possibility of that project, and we're doing what we can to try to push that forward and try to find funds, as it were.
Okay. Any more questions? Thank you, my friend.
Sure.
Next on is lacrosse, Hendersonville girls and boys.
Yep, it's me, Greg Mitchell. To kind of pick up on Andy's comment a few moments ago, brief recap, in the late fourth quarter of 2019, we launched a campaign to fundraising campaign to get lights at Memorial Park. And little to our surprise, the campaign has taken off, has done very well. I want to give a big thanks to Andy and Dallas and Keith for helping us out on this. To date, we have raised a little over $12,000 for that campaign. Our parents just last week are still asking us about kind of what the status is on that. So Andy and Dallas and I had a conversation about that last week. So you know, we'll be prepared to kind of give our parents an update on that. But you know, we're still fundraising for that. As many of you know, because you know, before daylight savings time, we pretty much play all of our games away during the month of March because of the shortened days. But hopefully, with the next couple of years, we can have that remedied by having lights at Memorial. Other than that, our teams have gotten underway. They're practicing, of course, not tonight. We're hoping to kind of get through the season with minimal COVID issues. We've got about 4 or 5 new coaches that are currently going through the background check process right now. I talked to Dallas about that. So we're chugging right along.
I have one question, Mr. Hessen. Greg's Mike.
Yes.
Is the fundraising you're talking about is part of that, the banner program?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah. So what we've done like every other youth club has done, that we solicit sponsorships to area businesses to support lacrosse, and in exchange for their support, we provide them with a banner that is hung during all of our games, high school boys, high school girls, and middle school boys. And I think last year we had about 6 or 7 banners that we were able to hang at our games, with more coming this year. So yes, thanks Mike for that. But yes, this is the banner program that you mentioned.
Yeah, unfortunately, our season was cut short, so I never did get to see our banner that I got from my work. So I'm gonna have to come down there and look at it this year.
Yeah, it was cut short, and of course the girls, our girls team, because their sport is not as physical as the boys' sport, they were able to get in probably 7 or 8 games last year. So yeah, so we're everybody's eager and raring to go.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Hendersonville Soccer Club.
Yeah, this is Todd Szymanski from Hendersonville Soccer Club. And I just want to say, in the spring season was very difficult, but I will give credit, working with Dallas and Andy to try to get this season going in the fall. We worked closely on that and working with the state. So we were happy to have the fall season. About a week before the COVID really hit us, we already handed out all of our uniforms. So we took a big loss on the uniforms. We were in a position where we decided to give 100% refunds to the families in the community that decided not to roll over to the fall season. And we took the hit on the uniforms on that. We were also able to do the donation for the LED lights, and we did remodel the bathrooms, the front bathrooms on the soccer fields at Drakes Creek Park earlier in the year. So does anyone have any questions on the financials?
I just have one thing I wanted to ask. So you're saying the uniform cost, it was approximately 19,000 up from last year. That's why the law, because you gave the refund. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, we got back maybe about 6 or 7 sets of uniforms that were not opened. But you're talking, we ordered, we have 100 teams. So any of them at that time, any of the bags were opened, or a lot of them were already handed out to players. We couldn't at that time, we didn't collect them back to be able to use in the fall season. If that makes sense.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Mr. Szymanski, if you can, on the second page where you have miscellaneous expenses,
right?
There's an almost $13,000 in just administrative fees. Can you educate us a little bit on what those might be?
Yeah, we have what we pay for. We have a referee manager that manages our games. We have a facilities manager that handles all the facilities, the concession stand, hiring people for that. And not just for Hendersonville Soccer Club, that's for, if lacrosse has a tournament and they're running that. We also had the registrar that we pay, that was paid in the spring and the fall to handle any type of administrative stuff with registration for the league. And we pay our treasurer for that too. So there's 4 different positions that we pay for.
Thank you.
Any other question? Thank you, sir. Tennessee United Soccer Club.
Hi there, my name is Lindsay Walters, and I want to introduce myself. I am the new Tennessee United treasurer. So I'm here if you have any questions to ask about our financial reports.
Well said. Questions?
I will. I'll have a question.
Yes, sir.
Looks like your equipment cost is up. Can you explain that to us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. We purchased each soccer team that we kind of fielded this year. We purchased soccer balls, soccer equipment, training equipment, and things like that for each of our teams. We had the funding to do that, and a lot of our teams and our coaches expressed a need to do that instead of providing them for themselves and their teams individually. They said, "Hey, is this something the club could provide?" And we looked at our accounts and said, "Sure, there's some wiggle room in there that we'd be happy to partner with you guys and provide that." It could be anything from a set of pennies to a set of poles to a set of soccer balls to in anything that they would use in equipment for practice.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
It looks like there's a line item for revenue, a miscellaneous revenue for 146,000 for coaching.
So that revenue is basically what we collect. That's how we track our invoices from our teams. So, and that's how we pay our coaches. So for example, if you have a kid on one of the Tennessee United soccer teams, your coach's manager would collect that coaching fee from you. And then we, as the club, bill the individual teams. So that's where our revenue comes from, but that revenue goes right out the door while we pay our coaches. So that's not revenue that we hang on to in any way. That's collected from the teams through an invoice, and then that's how our coaches get paid.
And then, so that's going to be different than fees, team fees, player fees, I guess is what I'm looking.
Yeah, so player fees, coaching fees is a certain amount depending on what age group you have. So as you get older, those player fees get a little bit more expensive because the coaching license and the coaching expertise and we pay our coaches a little bit more the older those teams get. So the coaching fees for our older teams are a little bit higher, but then also the player fees are a little bit different because player fees can encompass anything from if the coaches provide flex practices, if the coaches provide additional practices. Normally, Tennessee United, they practice 2 times a week, and then they have a game or some sort of something on the weekend, some event on the weekend that gets rolled into our coaches' payroll that we pay our coaches for. But, say if you're getting ready for a tournament or getting ready for the state cup or something like that, you may want to practice 3 times a week or even 4 times a week. We still compensate our coaches for that, but we still collect that as a player fee.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Were there any refunds from the spring? I noticed that there's none that's indicated here. Were there any that?
No, what's really great about the, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, what's really great about the way, this could be great, or for me, it's a lot of work, and so I kind of hate it, but we collect our player fees in 3 installments. So every month they pay a fee. So it's not like we just charge you one flat fee and then you're in it for the rest of the season. That's not how we've been billing out. We bill our teams in like every month. So we divide it into thirds. and we'd bill each season out in 3 months. So we didn't have to provide any refunds because we didn't collect any fees in the spring for the season we didn't play.
Understood. I was just curious how that would show up. It just shows up as less revenue, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It just means that we didn't collect any revenue for that because of the way we bill out.
Follow-on question as far as, again, just so I understand that some of the accounting. So there are also, as I know, because we're a Tennessee United family, there are some families that receive a scholarship of some sort or a decreased fee. Does that show up? Is that specifically accounted for somewhere, or is it's just less revenue that
that's just less revenue right now? If we have, and it's unfortunate really because we weren't able to have this season. Usually we have an indoor tournament or something like that that provides additional income that gets put in for our scholarships and our scholarship families. But unfortunately, we're not able to do that this season. So that's just going to be less revenue that we're able to collect. Hopefully, though, that we'll be able to make that up in our spring tournament. So we will still be able to provide scholarships at the level that we have been in the past. I don't expect it to impact it to where we actually turn people down in terms of scholarships. But we have, maybe, we may not give 100% scholarship. We may give a 75% scholarship instead. So that may just be need-based. But like I said, as soon as we kind of get this spring tournament and the revenue from the spring tournament, we'll be able to determine that. But our fall tournament went great. And so we'll be able to scholarship some families in the spring, just as if, under regular conditions.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you,
Thanks.
ma'am.
Don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions.
Have a good day. Night.
Thanks.
Thing. Yeah. Okay, under Civitan baseball, and you can read the rest of the line there.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, real quick before you go to that, I want to point out both soccer clubs invested over the amount of $20,000 to $30,000 back into the park, even during the COVID year, which I appreciate more than anybody probably. But they've helped us out tremendously in those areas, so hopefully we can continue that as they plan their budgets each year.
Mr. Gilly, I've also noticed a little bit of a disparity among some of the groups. There are some that we've just seen look like they're doesn't look like they are giving way above and beyond. And I think lacrosse is they're a much smaller group, and so expectations aren't there. But I hope some of the other groups that have kind of an especially healthy bottom line are taking a look at their numbers as well.
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Thank you again, man. All right. Civitan baseball, select, fast pitch, flag, tackle, football, basketball, cheerleading, and such.
Yes, this is Rob Winfrey. I'm the treasurer with Hendersonville Civitan. There's quite a few clarifications I need to make on this report. I'm sorry I couldn't have gotten an email out to give you guys a little bit of heads up on this. So I'll kind of just go through a few of the clarifications that I have. What you'll see down at the bottom of our account, it shows that as of December 31st, 2020, we had about $148,500 in the bank. What it doesn't show is that the costs we still have incurred. Basketball registrations had already been gone through, but the costs of basketball were not done yet. So from the basketball, I have calculated that the the referees, trophies, and insurance will come to about $69,000. Then there was also a check for the city concessions that had not passed yet in the bank. That was for roughly about $14,000. The middle school softball teams, they have a credit basically for their next season of about $3,000. And then we had the huge thing of trying to figure out what credits were able to our parents that when the baseball, flag, and softball and cheer all got canceled for the spring season. Unfortunately, Sports Connect does not give us a good report for that. So we had to go through manually and look at each individual account to come up with our calculations. And basically that was 41,000 is sitting out there in credits. So when you take those numbers minus the 148, that basically gave us a little bit over 20,000 in the bank. So I didn't want to give anybody any illusions like we had all this money in the bank, because those are, it's quite a bit that's already been spent. We also had the same issue that soccer did for baseball. Baseball had already purchased about $22,000 worth of uniforms. So that's one cost. We're gonna try to reuse those uniforms as much as we can in the spring season, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Obviously, we won't get the full value out of it. We'll try to do what we can do. We had not purchased anything for flag, luckily, so that did not hit us. We also still made donations to the park. We ordered a couple of portable pitching mounds. We also helped with resurfacing a field or two during the spring, and also to help cut back one of the fields so that it could be used for a 60-90 field. We also donate to Miss Hamblin does the Breakfast with Santa every year, and we sponsor that for her so that Civitan totally pays for that, and those children are able to come at no charge. And Miss Hamlin doesn't, she is absolutely wonderful at it. So it's really easy for us. We just write a check. That's about all for my clarifications. Any questions or anything, I'm more than happy to answer.
Question?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, Rob, that I know this is very time consuming, and I commend you on putting all this together and hopefully maintaining your sanity. I also know in addition to the park improvements, I would like for you to tell the half a dozen people that are watching, just because Mr. Perry's on, some of the other things you do. You've got donations of over $15,000 there. I know you guys do a lot in the community as well, and I'd just like for you to speak on that as well.
We do. We sponsor our especially right now, families run. You get on hard times, COVID related and everything, and we every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, we try to look at our leagues and see if there's any family that's had a hard time or anything going through a rough time, and we'll sponsor them to make sure they have a good Thanksgiving dinner, or to make sure that the kids have a good Christmas, or things like that. We also donated to Officer Bristol's tournament that they put on, things like that. Anything that we can do to help with the community. That's why we're here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a publicist. I don't pat ourselves. I don't try to pat ourselves on the back. I appreciate Mr. White for getting me to do this, but it's kind of one of those things. I think it's our responsibility. So we don't really look for a claim for that. We're here for the community and we want to help.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So this is my first time through these financials. So just to make sure I know what I'm looking at here, Rob. So the first report here is for the entire club, Civitan Club of Hendersonville, of which then the subsequent leagues all kind of bubble up to. Is that what I'm seeing?
Like the very top sheet, that's for the whole thing. That's for the whole thing. But it's really hard to get like a grasp of everything. So that's why I always break it out for.
No, it's very helpful.
Kind of see.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to say what somebody said a while ago. I applaud all these clubs' efforts to put all this together and actually keep maintaining through this virus thing, because quite frankly, I don't see how you guys did it, but we're proud of you, so I appreciate it. No more questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Mr. Gilly, do we have Mr. Beck or Mr. Jones back on here yet, you think?
No, Mr. Beck that I can see. And Mr. Jones was having trouble getting on, and I told him I thought I could handle his part.
Good.
If you all want me to try that, I can here.
I would appreciate you doing that. The online tennis court reservation.
Yes, sir. Basically, what we've got is, I'm trying to get to the part of the packet. The company that we use to do the online has kind of upped the fee on us for people that use the cards and transactions. And Mr. Jones, our tennis coordinator, feels it prudent to make an increase in that. We kind of had to do a similar thing at the golf course a couple years ago. And I believe he's asking for it to go from $5 to $6 if they do it online. Cash and check will still remain at $5.
Mr. Gilly, that's just to, it's based on the credit card fee.
That's correct.
Yes,
that's correct.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Doing that, yeah. A lot of people are doing that now. Any other questions about that? Do I hear a motion to approve?
A motion
to approve.
Second. Oh, who approved it?
Bennett.
Who was second? Ms. Ted? Okay. Oh, God. Voice vote.
Mr. Head?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Pike?
Yes.
Mr. Hessen?
Yes.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Thank you all.
All right, move down to the dedication of the benches.
Yeah, he's really got on page 14 of your packet, Coach Jones here has got two separate items that probably need to be voted on separately. The first one is there was a lady, a longtime tennis player in the park, Miss Deborah Armour, and Coach Jones has just joined us, so I'm going to let him take this one up.
Very good.
Let's see if I can get him in here. Coach Jones, you there? Let's see if he's on yet. Coach Jones, you there? Brandon?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We just took care of the online registration, but since you're on, if you could talk about the bench and the plaque for Ernie, I think it needs to probably be two separate things that they vote on.
Okay.
Sounds good. The first one. Let's do the first one first and get it out of the way.
Okay. Deborah Armour, she was just a long time like USTA Nalta captain, excuse me, that has played at the Parks, and unfortunately she passed away about 2 weeks ago of cancer. So a lot of her tennis friends are just wanting to get her a bench or some kind of memorial to just, obviously recognize her contributes to tennis over probably 15, 20 years.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
A motion.
I'll second that.
Bennett's first, Mr. Bowler second. Any more discussion? Voice vote?
Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Now, as to the second part.
Second one is more of a plaque for longtime tennis director Ernie Harris that worked for the Parks Department. He passed away in 2020, and just trying to get something to again just kind of honor his influence on the Parks Department and obviously the tennis courts. His biggest probably influence is he was the one that was responsible for getting courts 9 through 12 built back in 1992. So
I hear a motion to approve.
Motion. I'll set.
Who first?
Me, Mike, Pike.
Mike. Second was
Bye-bye again.
Bubba second. Okay. Any more discussion? The reason I can't do that, y'all kind of come up and go away, so I can't tell really who's doing it. Okay, any more discussion? All right, voice vote.
Mr. Golden,
Yes. Sorry.
Mr. Perry,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Head.
Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you. Coach Jones, when we do the Parks Wall of Fame, there's a category for deceased individuals who made a contribution. We need to probably make sure we nominate Ernie for that.
okay, fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We still don't have Mr. Beck.
No, sir, not this time.
Yeah, we'll put him on the next one if he wants to go on that one. Now I've got under here for your information, and discipline reports. This is something that's becoming a pet peeve of mine, and has been for the longest of times. We as parents need to let the kids play. I don't know how to put it any stronger than this. Somehow or other, and I don't have a vote on it, but somehow or other, we're going to have to make some sort of arrangements when something becomes uncomfortable when one of the kids' games, that we stop the game and do something about it right then. And if we need to, this is all in my opinion, if we need to give the referees more leeway to do things, that's what we need to do. If we need to have somebody on site, but I'm just getting real tired of us parents showing our butts at games like that. Kids deserve more than this. Kids have a tough enough time as it is. They're going through this virus thing. They're going through this Zoom thing, trying to learn. They're trying to find some way to get with their friends and whatnot. And they just dang sure don't need the parents to be interfering in something that should be something that's a recreation for them. So that's something that's just really, really been weighing on my mind. And if whoever it was the other day, the two people that listened to this, I hope both of those people that listen share this, because I'll say it one more time, kids deserve better than what we're doing. So that little bit being said, the disciplinary reports are in your packet, and the special events, if you have any questions about those, Ms. Wise is here and available to answer those. I don't see anybody nodding, so I think we're okay on those. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question on the disciplinary side of it. If Mr. Gilly or somebody on the staff could remind me of how we're tracking and keeping up with these situations year to year, because this is the first year in a long, long time I haven't been I haven't done basketball, but I did recognize one of the names as a frequent flyer, if you will, to the technicals. Are we keeping up with it? Is each technical, or is it just if they get two in a game?
We have a database in the office keeping up with all the technicals.
Okay.
And any ejections and other discipline issues. I will say in the case of the frequent candidate you might be referring to, this is the second year in a row on one of the teams there, but it's been a little bit of different personnel within the team. How about, for lack of a better way to put it? So we've got our eye on that. What I would say overall, it's way better than last year, but it's still not good enough. And like Mr. Hessen said, unfortunately, many of our problems still seem to be coming out of adults and not kids. So I don't know quite what the answer is, but we're going to keep working at it. And I'm going to start including this section in your packet all the time because I think you all need to see this.
Yep. I had the exact same question because not for that individual, but there's a couple other individuals that are included here that I know this is not their first go around. And so I know we always want to try and give a lot of latitude to the leagues, and I know we work very closely with them. But on a certain level, some of these folks probably don't need to be coaching.
Right.
And so I don't know what the solution is. And so, I obviously trust Andy and you and your team and all the folks there for doing that, but it is concerning to kind of see some of these names just continue to pop up.
In a roundabout way, Andy, I don't know whether we could legally do it or not, but it wouldn't be bad to have a wall of shame on our
I don't know if we need to do that or not.
Just it wouldn't hurt if we could do it. So
can I ask a question?
I do believe.
Mr. Hessen, can I ask a question to Mr. Gilly?
Yes, sir, you can go right ahead.
Is these letters that I'm seeing all high school, or is this some of the smaller kids that we just now got the league started?
No, there's only one or two high school league, and then a couple of them are youth league past that. One in the boys youth, one in the girls youth, and a couple of high school.
So youth just now got off as hard as we worked to get it off the ground. It's just now got off the ground, and we've already got letters going out.
That was the first week, yes, sir. And now the last 2 weeks, luckily, doesn't seem like we've had anything. So we're day to day around here.
I just want to go on record as saying, for the two people, like Mr. Hessen said, that are listening to this, please pass this on, because 2 weeks into the league and we've already got letters. Come on, guys. Parents, that's pathetic. People might not like me saying that, but there's no place in a youth basketball game for that, man. Lord. That's my 2 cents.
I personally think that it's
Marty.
If a coach could do some, I don't know. I'm like Andy. I don't know what we can do, but I don't want to see this happen.
Well, I appreciate Andy and all the staff working hard to try to come up with a solution for this.
Indeed. But it's the times they are changing, I guess. Okay, under staff reports, recreation, Miss Hamlin, you've been awful calm up there.
Hamlin had to hop off. I think she emailed her report maybe to Andrea.
Yeah, I have it.
Go right ahead, Miss Wyatt.
All right. Raptors basketball. They're not doing the Raptors Special Needs Basketball League, but they are having Saturday winter game days. Those who are registered come on Saturdays and participate in a variety of games, activities, crafts, etc., as well as have some time with their friends. COVID regulations are being put in place, such as social distancing, limited numbers in groups, wearing of masks, and temperatures being taken. At this time, she has 27 registered with no one on the wait list. They have a drop-off process where parents do not get out of the car. You meet them, take temps. If that is good, they all go into the cafeteria sitting socially distanced. Then they are divided into A, B, C, or D groups. Stations included in the gym are a dance station and game station where they can play hockey, play games like red light, green light, ball drills, etc. In the cafeteria, they have bingo and crafts. Everyone completes every station on a rotating basis. Everyone remains in the same group every week in case we have any cases. It will help with contact tracing. At 11:15, they all go back to the cafeteria and get ready for dismissal. She has 5 workers helping out to cover the stations and with arrival and dismissal. At dismissal, the parents begin to line up at 11:15 and we dismiss them to the car. I have had a few others reach out to me that are just now seeing the emails about this program and want to join if possible still. She will reach out to them and get them registered. This will take place on Saturdays in January and February from 9 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. at Whitten Elementary. They will begin looking at the possibility of doing Raptors baseball. They will, of course, have to see where the state is on cases and decide what is the best as far as health and safety. Sincerely, Cindy Hamlin. And that is all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. Well, I've heard that put before. Question? Thank you, Miss Stand-in Hamlin.
No problem.
Recreation Coordinator, Mr. Evans, I understand he had an event that precluded him being here tonight. You want to speak to that, Mr. Gillian?
He did. We need to send congratulations out to Wade and his wife, who had a healthy baby last week, and so he'll be out for a couple weeks, and we wish them nothing but the best. Dallas, if you want to give a report on the high school basketball league, you can.
Yeah, things are winding down with the high school basketball league. We one division started their tournament last week. The other division starts their tournament tonight, and all the high school league will be wrapped up next Monday. And then the men's league, they're a few weeks behind on from the high school league, so that they should be finishing up in mid to late February. And then I believe Wade's also taking registrations for dodgeball teams if anyone knows anyone that wants to sign up a dodgeball team.
Okay. Question? Thank you. Special Events Program Supervisor, Ms. Wise.
All right. Since basketball is still going on, we don't have much going on currently at this time as far as events. As mentioned tonight, that softball clinic will be the first event this year on February 6th. The annual Trevecca tournament that we always have each year that's held in February has been canceled for this year, but they are planning on coming back next year in 2022. And then the HHS Middle School Playday and Station Camp High School Softball are at the end of the month in February. And that will lead us into baseball starting in March. And that's what's going on in the event world.
And that's all she wrote. That's nice. All right.
Not as much as Hamlin.
Thank you, Ms. Watt.
Mm-hmm.
Assistant Maintenance Supervisor, Mr. Gannott.
Good evening. How's everyone doing?
Well,
I'm glad to be here. We are continuing with our winter list projects, restroom painting. We are starting a project down at the football men's and women's restroom, doing some upgrades, going with some new hand dryers, countertops, and LED lighting. It will be a nice addition down there. Soccer meeting rooms, we've been doing some work in those. We've done some painting, updated them with some LED lighting, just some needed additions that we were able to do this winter. We just recently completed a upgrade over at Veterans Park, the ball field restrooms. Those restrooms were never HVAC duct. They were just ventilated. And so we did a little work over there, and we've added some duct work, and they will now have air conditioning in them this summer. I think people will be very happy with that. They got a little damp and hot in the summertime. So that's a much needed upgrade. So we're glad to be able to do that. Here in the next probably 7 days, I've got a company coming in to Mary's Magical Place in Kids Kingdom. If you'll remember, a couple times since the COVID pandemic has started, we've had a company come in and clean and disinfect those two playgrounds. They're two of our largest and most used. So that'll be happening again. It's pretty much everything I've got. If anybody's got any questions, I'll stay here for a second.
Question? Thank you, Mr. Ganot. Assistant Director, Mr. Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Us staff have been working the last few weeks, meeting with all of our leagues, gearing up for the spring season and getting everything planned out with schedules and such. Rugby and lacrosse, they've started up practice already. Tennessee United will begin practicing mid-February, and then flag football and rec soccer will begin practicing the first week of March, and then all leagues will begin games in March. And then other than that, I believe Andy sent out an email last week with our plans for soccer, dealing with soccer traffic. So we've been working with HPD and our staff and the two soccer groups on trying to figure out a way with to help with soccer traffic on weekends. And hopefully we got a plan in place that can help with that. There's no guarantees, but it's worth a shot with this new plan. So that's all I got.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Assistant Director, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Hessen. Couple things about basketball. Okay, so we've got 3 weekends. We're basically playing Saturday and Sundays for 8 weekends. And so we've got 3 down, 5 to go. End of February will be the completion of basketball. Still working, appreciate the schools. We're still working week to week on schedule changes due to COVID and tournaments and so forth like that. So as of right now, every game that's been scheduled has been played for 3 weeks. So we're probably 170 games in. So doing pretty good. We completed the pictures. Always exciting for the moms and dads. The passive that we came up with Civitan has worked extremely well for the first 3 weeks. Will for the rest of the year. I mean, all the parents seem to have abided by that and got very little complaints or concerns about that. So that seems to has worked well. Some stuff coming up in the spring. We've got, I've talked to Civitan, the baseball, the 5 to 12-year-olds, and then also the middle school league is going to get up and running here real soon. Talked to the middle school fast pitch league, and their games are starting February 16th. So bring your warm coat when you start to go watch some fast pitch. But they are tentatively going to start the 16th. The local league is doing signups, fast pitch and baseball, and we've got some tryouts dates set for those guys. High school baseball and softball. Just a heads up with TSSAA for you guys. The TSSAA has said there's going to be no preseason games or scrimmages or play days and so forth. So they're going to start practicing February 15th, which will work all those guys in, Beats and Hendersonville, baseball and softball. But it's going to affect some of the preseason tournaments because like Beach's big play day, they're not going to be able to have it because it was always the Saturday before the season started on that Monday, the 15th of March. So a couple of weekends, the end of February, the first weekend of March is going to be a little lighter than normal. We're still going to try to do some middle school tournaments. But if you don't see as much activity those first couple of weeks, it's because TSSAA has limited all activity before the season starts, which is March the 15th. No, basically the only thing you can do before the 15th is inter-squad scrimmage. You can't scrimmage another team. You can't have a play day and that part of it. So just a heads up on that part of it. But come March the 15th, that week is actually Hendersonville's tournament. So the big tournaments will kick in that Wednesday. But I think we'll still have a couple smaller middle school tournaments at the end of February, 1st of March. And I like the old school green light, red light game. Classic.
Did I just miss it, or did you have a report on kickball at all, or?
I think it's off-season conditioning for kickball. I think a lot of them are in the gym getting working out. Maybe there's a couple of kickball classes. They're doing some extra squats and leg presses to get ready for next year.
Well, I've been getting up in the night and going back and forth to the bathroom. That helps me. So everything will work out just fine. Thank you, Mr. Bruce.
Mr. Chairman, I got a comment for a second, if that's okay.
Sure, go right ahead.
This goes to Andy and to Keith. The Civitan basketball has gone well with the COVID protocols. And I've seen all the teams that come in and out, parents come in and out. So commended for doing those protocols as well as getting this season going, doing a good job. That's it.
Good job. All right. Parks Director, Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. I want to kind of echo what Keith said and Dallas about the schools helping us out tremendously. We could not be operating a league without them. Obviously, we do our part on the back end with the use of the fields for the school sports, but we couldn't do what we do without the principals and the school board helping us out. As Keith and Dallas both said, also, all our spring sports right now look like they're going to start on time and everything in place. We still will have some restrictions, obviously, until things get back to whatever normal is, but at least we're going to look to start on time. We also will, by the time we get to March, hopefully have some new golf carts for the groups that use the park. We've got a help from Country Hills Golf Course and our Board of Mayor and Alderman. That's going to make a big difference for the staff and the groups. And we've received word this week that we've been awarded the TSSAA State Cross Country meet for the next 2 years. So we're working on a contract for that. So that means a great job by our staff and by our city of getting that in here for the first time and them liking it so much they want to come back. That was a huge help to all the hotels and the restaurants in November. So it'll be even better this year. The only other thing I had is that as tonight, I put this in an email to you guys. I maybe something I bring back next month in the form of an actual document for you to look at and approve. But we're getting to the point where all these groups are dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars. And me personally, I don't feel comfortable just seeing their financial documents once a year. I think we've got to come up with something where we see it on a monthly basis and have a chance. I don't think they've got to show up at the meeting, but I think our staff needs to be sent that information and you all need to see it also, so that if something is irregular, we catch it before it becomes too irregular, whether it's on accident or on purpose. It's just it's running a business is what it is for these groups. And I think that also help our staff when we go to them and ask them for help with different projects. We'll have a better idea of where they are financially and able to help with different things. So that's just my 2 cents on that. If you all want me to bring back some kind of document next month to approve, I can do that. But, I don't think it has to be a 10-page report. It just needs to be a simple revenue and expenses and let them explain to us, like some of you asked, who's getting paid to do what. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Ian, can I talk to Andy for just a second?
Yes, sir.
I was going to ask you about this, Andy, because I was prepared to make a motion on it. I think it's a great idea. I think that we need that. Your staff needs it. We need it as a board. And you're exactly right in what you're saying. I was going to make the motion, but it's probably better that you bring some kind of documentation where we have that on file to make that motion. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but
I'm fine with doing that. That will also, I think, give the groups, we can let them know, hey, this is coming. If you got any problem with it, you need to let us know now by the end of next month.
I personally think monthly is a pretty big ask.
So
I agreed with that at first until I got to talking to some of the groups, and they're having to do these reports for their monthly board meetings anyway.
Okay.
With their 501c3 status, they've got to have board meetings and they've got to give reports.
Does that put I don't know, an undue accounting burden on you guys, Andy?
I might, I can to me, no, I'm more comfortable seeing it every month. I mean, just a one page, here's the revenue, here's the expenses.
Pretty much.
Here we go. Here's our balance. I mean,
yeah, Andy, pretty much like we had talked, most all the groups use Quicken Books, and there's already a monthly report that you can run from that just basically says, here's what you took in, here's what you expense, here's your current balance. The current balance may not reflect outstanding checks or stuff or incoming deposits, but it's still a monthly financial picture, that we produce that every month in the Civitan Club for the group to see. So if you're using a Quickens Books or something close to that, it's not a hard report to print and just turn that report in itself, unless you want a uniformed report.
Well, let me ask you a question.
That may be the best way to do it. We tell the groups, let you all approve what exact information we're looking for each month, and let them get it to us however in their form that they want to get it to us.
Just a balance sheet and income statement, Andy, is really all it needs. And he's right. Quicken Books or QuickBooks can be emailed just like that.
Sure.
Well, I'm like Mr. Pike. I mean, I'd feel comfortable going on and making that a mandate anyway, if that's what y'all want to do, because if it's, I mean, I know every month I have to balance my stuff. I don't do it once a year. I do it every month. So I pretty much know where I'm at. So I think they could do that too. So Mike, if you want to make that motion, go right ahead. If you want to wait for Mr. Gilly for next meeting, that'll be fine as well.
I think it's better now with the discussion we've had to wait and give the groups, prepare them to know what they're fixing to get, and where they can be better prepared. And then Andy can outline what he's wanting, what they're looking for. We can make our motion based on that and word it the proper way.
Yeah, just not throwing on them at one time. Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's fine. That'll be fine. Okay, Mr. Gill, if you'll get that together, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, going along with that, and first of all, I would think this would make it easier on the staff if you're seeing something consistently rather than having to pour through a year right at the last minute to get it ready for this meeting. I think this is a very good idea to come up with something that you're seeing monthly, and we can see patterns of what's going on and get a little better handle on this and make it more efficient and maybe easier on the staff. And I don't think anybody's going to have a problem giving a basic report. One thing I wanted to add to this is a question more than anything is I know there was something came up today on lacrosse, and Dallas and I talked, and Dallas, are they operating on a fiscal year somewhat similar to soccer where they're operating they end in June?
Yeah, they're basically, from the sounds of talking with Greg today, it sounds like they're on the same schedule as Tennessee United.
Okay. And we made an accommodation for them because it made more sense for us to do it that way. Maybe we should do this for lacrosse as well to help them. So we're looking at it would help them and help us to see their year the way they report it.
Would you make Andy, would you make this like across the board to do away with maybe yearly reports like we have tonight, or you think it?
No, I think we need to still have them come before us in a yearly fashion as well, because you get some good information you might not otherwise have.
Okay.
I can to answer Mr. White, I can, as part of the little proposal next month, I can put in there that lacrosse go like Tennessee United if you want me to.
Be good.
I think that would help them and help us better get a better picture if that's their year and the way they report everything. I think it would help.
Okay.
Good enough. Good enough. Okay. Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Gilly. Round table, Mr. Frank.
No, sir, I'm good.
Mr. Pike?
Nothing other than Andy, can you call me either later on just call me tomorrow sometime.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. White?
No, sir, I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Golden?
I am good.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes, sir. I know we've got 2 or 3 referees, officials, umpires on the board, and I think we're all aware that there's a nationwide of youth officials, and the driving factor of losing the officials is what's happening in these disciplinary issues. I think there's a real disconnect with, listen, it's easy to be a referee on the sideline, right? Piece of cake from home, yelling at the TV, and we're taking that to the gyms. I don't, if a coach has reached that point where he's asked to leave, I think it would be interesting if part of the requirement for him to be able to return to the bench to coach would be to see what it's like to referee a game. And I know that's big, because we can't just turn a guy loose with no training onto a game. So it's a big ask of the referees, because the referee would have to be there with them. But I think it'd be very interesting for Mr. Big Mouth to feel what it's like to make a call in front of everybody. Anyway, that's just little food for thought, I guess.
Yes, sir. Very much. Very nice. Mr. Bennett?
Real quick, looking over these financials is fantastic. And just to see, in a challenging year, I commend the clubs that did donate and help the Parks Department this year. Thank you very much. And let's keep on doing it for another year.
Thank you very much. Mr. Perry?
No, sir, I'm good, Ken. Thank you.
That's all right. Mr. Ted?
No, I have nothing.
I was the reason, and I've kind of talked to some other people about this disciplinary thing, and I'm not real good about being legal, so I'm gonna do some stuff that I'm gonna try to do. I have the feeling in my mind that the kids, when their parents go nuts like that, I believe they're probably more embarrassed than anybody. And I would think, and what I'm going to do, number one, I'm going to ask my pastor if he can weave this into some kind of a deal. Again, I don't know even if that's legal or not, but I'm going to try, because some of them big mouths are sitting right there in church, and I expect if the pastor said something. And then on the other hand, I don't see why it would be such a bad idea for principals during assemblies or whatnot to reinforce what we're talking about. And kids are more grown up than we are. I know more kids are more grown up than I am. So let's let the kids try for a while. If we can't make the parents shut up, then let's try to get the kids to get them to do the right thing. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm like Mr. Bowler. I'm just sick to death of it. I'm sick to death of seeing it on Facebook, and it just isn't right. So that's it. All right. I will hear a motion to adjourn. Mr. First. Who was second? Who was second?
Mike Pike.
Mike Pike was second. Voice vote.
Mr. Head?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
I believe we're adjourned.
See you guys. Take
And
care.
that's all she wrote.
Night, everybody.
That's all she wrote.
See you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the IT department.
Way to go, Mr. Evans.
See you guys. I'll see you.